Hey G-Fans, Gojifan1993 here, and welcome back to the second day of Godzilla-Thon 2014, where we will be talking about Godzilla Raids Again, 1955. Now, first off, I want to make a little bit of a disclaimer. 1, I'm not ripping off James Rolfe. 2, I know that he did Godzilla-Thon. 3, that was back in 2008. 4, get off my back. Alright, let's begin the review. So, basically, being the sequel to Gojira or Godzilla King of the Monsters is a pretty big feat, and sadly, the film is a little bit disappointing compared to the first one. The effects aren't as good, the suits aren't as good, the acting's not as good, the characters aren't that good, the music isn't that good. It's one of my least favorite films, but it does have some parts in it that are kind of cool. For instance, there is one scene in the film where I don't remember her name. I'm sorry, I'm messing up names here, but the female actress in this movie, I guess I'd say the female lead in the movie, she's looking out into the city where it's being destroyed by Godzilla and Anguirus, and basically, that whole scene is just very solemn. It's just, it's very symbolic, of someone who's, the love for her city and it's being destroyed. And I don't know, that scene, for some reason, just with me, I don't know if it's just me or if it's anyone, or if anyone else agrees or has this feeling, but whenever that scene comes up, it's like, damn, the feels, man, the feels. Also, totally forgot to say, back up the train here, Anguirus is introduced in this film. This is his first film debut, and Godzilla's first enemy, ironically, even though the Anguirus becomes his friend and basically his sidekick in the future films. But obviously Anguirus has a completely different look. He looks more, I don't know, I mean, obviously because it was the 50s still and the effects weren't as good. I mean, Anguirus doesn't look as good as he does in like the 60s, like the 68 Anguirus. But what's also weird is I want to talk about the differences between the Japanese version and the American version. Now, I'm not going to be talking about the Japanese version, American version for every film, because that would be ridiculous having to do. But I recently watched this like a month ago on the Japanese version, and I just got finished watching it on the English version, so I actually have now a clear look on both versions. And once again, I gotta give it to the Japanese version. Obviously it's the best, and you know what, that goes for any Godzilla film. Any Godzilla film is better in the Japanese version, but this one in particularly, I mean, like, the way the Japanese, I don't know, they just knew how to make films back then. I mean, it doesn't mean that they don't know how to do now, but it's just like, for these kind of films, it seems like America just didn't understand how to do an American edit of these films. Because in the American version, once again, it's all narrated for us. The whole storyline is done in exposition, and it's like, it's so annoying, because I felt like I was hearing an audio book, and I was like, oh, this is ridiculous, because in contrast with the Japanese version, everything just happens. You learn what's happening by the characters explaining shit, but it's not through narration, it's through the characters actually doing shit. So yeah, overall the music, it's not too bad. I enjoy it. I mean, I listened to the soundtrack, and it's nice. It's obviously not Akira Fukube. It's I don't know the composer, sadly, but I know it starts with like an M, I think. I don't know. Sorry, messing up the freaking information again. Sorry about that. But, like I said, there's also 2 main fights in this film between Godzilla and Anguirus. The first fight deals with Godzilla and Anguirus fighting in on an icy place, like a snowy place, island, I don't know. They fight for like 5 seconds, and then Godzilla just like football tackles him and just into the water, and it's like, But the second part, or the second battle, which is the final battle between Godzilla and Anguirus, is in Tokyo, or no, not Tokyo. It's in Osaka this time, I believe. I hope I got that right. And that's pretty much the big battle. And what's interesting is that they decided not to slow down the footage, but instead speed up the footage. And I believe that there was some kind of problem that went along when they were filming it. Like, they were filming it, but then something wrong happened with the footage or whatever, and that's why it was like fast forwarded or whatever. I don't know the true story behind it. Leave in the comments below if you guys have the facts on that. But anyways, so. But the last battle, it's so funny how it's played out. I mean, obviously, you got to give this film some slack. This is the first film that had two monsters fight each other. Obviously, it's not going to be choreographed well. So basically, you just got two guys in rubber suits just going at each other, just tackling, and they're just like, what's our direction? What's our motivation? I mean, they don't really know how to. I mean, suit acting wasn't. The guys who were doing that, they were the pioneers. They had to figure it out for themselves. There was no handbook on here's how to choreograph a monster fight with suits. You just didn't have that. So it is dated, but you got to give the film some credit because it was the first film that had the monsters fight each other. So it's really fast paced. They look like puppets in some way. They're just kind of going back and forth. But whatever. It's still fun to watch and all that stuff. Obviously, Godzilla wins, and basically, it's crazy how Godzilla does the final attack. Like, he bites on Anguirus' neck and starts just gnawing on his neck, and Anguirus is just like, ow, ow, oh god, and then he just tips him over and then just atomic breaths his ass, and it's kind of sad to see. I always hate it when Anguirus gets his ass owned. I don't know. I feel really bad for that monster, but so yeah, not really much to talk about this film. Also, the fact, I guess, with if you guys want to know about a little bit of the human storyline, I mean, there's not really much. It focuses on two pilots that they kind of observe the ocean to see about tuna for food or supplies or whatever like that. So they scout it out and they say, oh, here's some food or whatever, or here's some fish. And there's also there's another love triangle, I believe, if I read that right in the film. And also, the main protagonist, male actor, he had a friend, and he was in love with his girlfriend, I believe. But then he ends up dying at the end when they try and when Godzilla goes back to that snowy island or whatever. They actually try and trap him in ice because they figure out that dropping bombs on him isn't doing anything. They find out that blowing up barrels and fire isn't really going to do anything. So they just decide. So what happens is that his friend Fubiashi. Oh my god, I'm messing up the names again. I'm so sorry. But he flies into the cliff and it creates, an avalanche, and then it starts to, trap Godzilla. So the other pilots are like, hey, I got an idea. Let's just trap him under ice, because there's nothing else we can do. So basically it's like a full 10 minutes of jets just flying, shooting at the mountain just to make it have an avalanche and come down. Godzilla does eventually get all covered up, and that's basically the end of the movie. And then, the main character, and he gets the girl, and they live happily ever after. So, yeah, but that's pretty much Godzilla Raids Again. Obviously, I know that I've gotten probably some things messed up, but, once again, unscripted reviews, and that's the way I like to do it. If you don't like it, well, sorry. Yeah, so Godzilla Raids Again, I definitely watch it. It's good. I mean, it's not the best Godzilla film. It's probably one of my least favorite, but, hey, it was 1955. Give it a break. It was a pioneer film. It, had, the two monsters fighting. That was the newest thing there. So, overall, it's an okay film. So definitely highly recommend watch the Japanese version, not the stupid American version, because I hate watching it, and it's just narration non-stop. This is what's happening in the film. This is what you're supposed to be focusing on. Blah, blah, blah. It's just oh, shut up. Anyways, so that's my review. Godzilla Raids Again for Godzilla-Thon 2014. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for tomorrow for King Kong vs. Godzilla. And that'll be it. So see you guys till then. Stay big, G-fans.